I think I did it wrong. Oh, shoot. Settings. Huh. Let me go out for a minute. Oh, hello. I'll be starting in just a moment. I did something wrong. I didn't do something right. Hmm. I thought I did something. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for joining. I am going to get started in just a moment. Trying to share. So share with your friends, any aspiring authors, writers, um, let them join in. I have something exciting to share tonight. I'm excited. I'm actually very excited about the information that I will be sharing tonight. Trying to get situated. Did something I think I messed up. I am still trying to get comfortable with um going live. I actually had a banner and I don't see it. Okay. Oh, there is that it? Oh, there it is. Hey, there it is. Oh my goodness. Move that up out of my way so that I can see. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to get started in just a moment. I'm going to share this with a few people that have been following me faithfully. Now share, share, share. Yeah, I am just sharing with a few people. Uh, how's everyone doing today? Thank you for joining. Welcome to the Healed Author Series. I pray that everyone's day has been blessed. You know, they were calling for these bad storms, but guess what? I guess they turned around and said, never mind. Hi, Jerry. How are you? All right. Drive safely. All is well. That's good to hear, Jay. I'm so happy to see you on. Prayfully, you'll be blessed by this and get something out of it that will inspire you to write your story. Yes, yes. Hey, Jazz. I enjoyed last night, Jazz, with you and your husband, Dre. That was awesome. That was truly awesome. Hey, T. Hey, hey. Be sure to share, like, comment. Yes, yay, yes. We had a good time. It was fire. It was awesome. It was awesome. Thanks, T. If y'all need an abundant life coach, somebody to push you and give you the little tidbit. Sometimes it's slow. I'm slow catching on, but I'm getting there. Reach out to my girl, the abundant life coach, Tonda Leah Shaw. She will keep you on track and lead you in the right direction. Yeah, it's a blessing to have godly people in your corner to help push you towards purpose. So I am grateful for her. Thank you for sharing. Yes, yes. See, I'm not the only one. Yes. All right. So we're going to get started. So welcome. I'm big on starting on time. Thank you for joining. Welcome to the Healed Author series. I just want to get on tonight. I'm going to be talking about healing versus venting. When I come up here and I'm talking about things, I'm not just talking about the pain you experience. Because even though we've been through something and we're going through something and you're talking about it, does not mean you're healing from it. But I want to share with you the difference between healing and venting. Because a lot of people get that confused. They think they're healing because, okay, I'm able to talk about it freely before people, but they're actually venting. Venting is releasing that emotion for the moment, and it doesn't transform you or your story. So tonight we're going to talk about the difference between healing and venting, and why that difference determines whether your story becomes a testimony or just another bleeding wound. So I want to welcome you to the Healed Author series. My name is Mia. I am a 2-time award-winning author. I'm a faith-based author, a testimony writing coach, founder of From Purpose to Publish, creator of the Healed Author Framework. And for the last couple of weeks I've been up here, I've been stepping out of my comfort zone and sharing a little bit of my journey in hopes that we can connect and you will connect with me as your writing coach. We've been talking about different things that will help you become an impactful writer, a published author. And my goal is to help you get through the journey. A lot of times when people write their story, they don't address the issues or the barriers, because most people I come in contact with, they want to write their story based on things they've experienced through their life. They think they have this great story, this bestseller, and you do, but you're not a one-hit wonder. So my goal is to show you how to take your life, the journey, take your testimony and turn it into a book so that you can impact generations to come. Because I tell anybody, I didn't go through all of this for nothing. God had a purpose and a plan for my life before I was formed in my mother's womb. Therefore, I am going to walk in obedience and do what he's called me to do. So what I want to do, because I have a lot of new people joining me, new names and faces that I have not met before. So I want to just go back and recap what I've talked about the last 3 weeks. And it's going to be very brief. And then I'm going to jump into the topic of tonight, healing versus venting. We talked about writing from wholeness. Your soul is still bleeding from experiences. So you're writing and everything, it feels heavy. So you're not able to freely write. Yes, Jay, it's been a minute. You connect to people on Facebook, but that's about it. We don't see each other face to face, but I'm glad you're on. You're writing from wholeness does not mean trying to prove anything. You're not trying to fight anymore. Simply telling the truth of the journey. And not just the journey, you're telling the truth about the journey that God walked with you through. He ordained for your life. You're not just sitting complaining, the venting about what happened. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the scripture that aligns with that is Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up the wounds. So that is the focus scripture I use when I learn how to write from wholeness, because God heals the heart before testimony reaches others. Week 2, I talked about the emotional weight of your story. Writing your story brings back memories. You can't get around it. We all have memories. Some are good, some are great, some not so great. But nevertheless, we have a memory. Yesterday is a memory. Things tend to surface in those memories. Childhood wounds, painful relationships, unresolved grief. So many writers are surprised by how emotionally heavy writing can feel. I don't think a lot of times when people write stories, at least the people that I've met and say they want to write a story and they start writing and they get to a specific time in their life, they get stuck and they stop. So that was week 2, the emotional weight of your journey, which led us into last week, triggered versus blocked. Many writers believe they have writer's block. Writer's block is the context of a story that you're writing. It's you get stuck on the outline, the chapters, what to write next. That's the block. But triggers affect your body, your emotions. Hey, Iron Orchid, you just had a birthday yesterday. Good to see you. You react and respond to things that you have written. It's hard to get past a certain age in your life because you think you can skip over it. Nope, we're going to work through all of it. And even in your writing, when you're triggered, your mind tries to protect you because you try to block those things out. But your soul is asking for care before you express yourself in writing. So that brings us to week 4. We're talking about healing versus venting. We're going to dive a little bit deeper. I thank you for joining me in this month of March, the launch of the Healed Author. More to come. I was even thinking about it, and then it was funny. The Abundant Life Coach even sent me some things, and I had been thinking about earlier about changing, switching up, and see what else we can do on this journey. But we're talking about healing versus venting. Many people believe they are healing when they're actually venting. Venting does not produce transformation. Proverbs 29:11. A fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise person quietly holds it back. Now, that scripture, it does not mean that you never speak about what happened, but you don't you don't put it in the forefront. You don't push it so far back that you dismiss it. Because what happens when you suppress those memories, those things that you don't want to talk about, think about, if you don't work through it, it's going to come back up. And if you want to write a book, it's going to come back up. And that is one of the reasons why people don't publish their stories. And they know they have a story inside of them, but they get stuck and they stop and they walk away and they never write that book. So, we're not suppressing emotions. It means you have to process your emotions with wisdom. So we're going to talk about, hold on. I think I skipped some pages here. I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I have notes here. So we're going to make sure we stay on task. Yeah, I did. All right. So we're talking about healing versus venting. We're going to talk about what venting looks like. Venting looks like, well, first of all, it's an emotional release without resolution. So, example, have you ever met someone, or I'm going to be honest with you, I'm going to raise my hand. I was the queen of pity. I always wanted somebody to listen to my story. I wanted to go deep down, and I was crying and I was telling things, but I was actually feeling, I would talk about it so much that I felt sick. So that's venting. Venting does not bring transformation. It actually depletes you. It actually pushes you so far down into the pit that you don't know how to get out of it. And then you're at ground zero. You never get to where God called you to be. So examples of venting: repeating the same story. How many of you have repeated the same story? If you find yourself repeating the same story, you need to do, there's some work you need to do, because you're not making any progress in your life. You're focusing on what others did wrong. That's unforgiveness. Speaking from anger and resentment. Seeking validation instead of clarity. And that's something that I did. Venting may feel good for a minute, but once you have time to sit in it, that wound begins to open even more, because you keep feeding it and spilling out the ugliness that's there. It's exposed. There's nothing healing. You're not learning anything. You're just putting it out there. And I'll be honest with you, I've shared this before. I wrote my very first book, Seeds of My Existence. I bled all over that book because I knew I had a story, but I didn't know how to write my story. I didn't understand how precious my story was. Your story is precious. Why? Because God gave it to you. For anybody that's experienced childhood trauma or painful relationships, grief, I always look at life like this. If God allows me to wake up the next day, open my eyes, take that breath, then that's another opportunity for me to submit to his will, do what he's called me to do, and write that book. So we're going to talk about now what healing looks like. Healing in writing looks like you're acknowledging the pain, you're understanding the lesson, releasing the offense, allowing God to transform the experience. That is the thing. When you give a testimony, you have to not just say what you did, because you did not do it in your own will. We don't have the strength to overcome trauma, because if we did, there would not have been Jesus. Jesus is the reason why we're able to be here, to write our stories, to testify of the healing power, to testify of our salvation, to testify that we survived that stuff that happened long time ago, way back when. So that's when you're thinking about healing, that's what helps me continue this walk each day. It's allowing, what healing looks like, it's allowing God to transform the experience. I wrote my second book, Single, Saved, and Unfulfilled, Finding Me in Him. Actually, I had only had one person to tell me that they actually tried to read it, and it was a hard read for them. And it's because I released a lot of things in that book, but that book was for me. It was for me to be free. I shared some things, very personal things, but there were things that I needed to share to be free, because I failed in relationships. So that was my topic. Why do I fail in relationships? when you write a book, your book does not have to be a chapter of from birth, age 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is very draining. I tried it and I was very unsuccessful writing a full biography of my life. That it did not work. Autobiography was an autobiography of my life. So what I do when I write, I write seasons of my life. I write about things that may have happened in this season that affected how I lived out my life in this season, and I put them together, and that's how I'm able to write books. I have to share. I have 6 books, 3 paperback books, and 3 journals, devotionals, and the She Is Healed series. But all of them are based on my personal experiences and what God did to bring me to this expected place in my life. So let me get back over here to my notes. Healing changes how the story lives inside of you. You're no longer writing to accuse, you're writing to reveal what God did. 2 Corinthians 13, 3 and 4. The God of all comfort comforts us so that we can comfort others. Your story is not just for you. Your story is a testimony. It is a testimony of God's love. Now, I have this shirt on, and I actually forgot about this was actually the very first assignment that God gave me when I wrote my second book. She is MIA. My name is Mia. However, the Mia stands for Manifesting Inner Healing Through Agape. Agape is the highest form of love, the love that only God can give you, the love that God can show you. Nobody, no man can love you to that degree. So that was the beginning of my healing journey. And now that I've been walking in it and I'm teaching other people how to walk and write in that healing journey, we have gone to the next level. God is not a one-hit wonder. Each day you grow, you learn the lessons, and you propel higher than you are now. And that is something I bring into my writing coaching, to teach you how to discover your voice, heal through the trauma, write through the trauma, write in healing, and walk in it, and walk it out. You know, a lot of times people want to write a book, but it's more about, it's not just, should never be just about writing a book. Yes, the sales are good. You know, you're writing your book and it's an accomplishment, but what do you do next? So that's why it's important to heal through your writing, because there has to be an end game. There has to be a why to it, not just, oh, I want to write a book. Okay. And I'm going to say this, just because you can tell a story without crying does not mean the story has healed. Think about that for a minute. Everybody is built differently. Some people process things internally. That is me. Some people externally. Some people are very outward. They respond to life outward. That means a lot of times in that unhealed season that they're in, they're ready for a fight. So they fight verbally. They may throw hands and they fight with their words. I, on the other hand, I process things internally, which means for a long time, I would sit on things would happen to me, and I would be so afraid to speak on it. So I think that's why I started writing, because it was a way of escape for me. It was a way for me to express myself and not be judged until I decided, well, I didn't decide it. God pushed me, and I had people pushing me, publish your book, write your story, not knowing that it was going to be the starting point of what God intended for my life from the beginning. So let me ask you a question, and I am I love feedback. So I'm going to ask you this question. If you wrote your story today, would your words come from a place of pain or from a place of purpose? Just drop some things in the comments, or just dropped healing or still healing. Let's make it easy. I can say I'm very bold now. I wasn't always this bold, but I am very bold. So the question again is, if you wrote your story today, would your words come from a place of pain or from a place of purpose? Healing, still healing. And I don't think a lot of people think about that question, because when you're writing, most people, when they write a book, they're not thinking about how they're writing the book. They're just writing the book because they feel led to write the book. Oh, I'm going to write this. But they're not, a lot of times people don't pay attention to where they're writing from, because a lot of times they don't have an end game. They don't have a thought of, okay, when I publish this book, what next? You're an author, yes, but what next? There has to be more than just putting words on a page and writing a book. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, in this day and time, people don't sit and read a book. They're on social media. They're on their electronics. Hey, they have Audible. They have Kindle. You can, they have apps that can read for you. So a lot of times people don't want to read, but then you do have those people who do like to read. So think about it like this. And what do I want the reader to receive from my book, from the words that I wrote? So when you write your book, ask yourself, am I writing this book from a place of pain or from a place of purpose? I guarantee you, and myself included, I never thought about that. I never thought about the purpose behind my writing. Now, I've been saved over 20 years now, but I never thought about the why behind the why behind what I did or where I was going. I never thought about the why. I thought about the who was God. And I know that I'm his daughter. I'm make it personal. I'm his favorite daughter. And you say that too. You're his favorite daughter. But, I know that I was special. I know that I had certain gifts. I know this, but I never understood the purpose in my writing. It wasn't, when I wrote the first book, I was scared. I didn't even tell a lot of people that I wrote the book. I put it out there, people gave wonderful feedback, but I was challenged with vulnerability because of the fear. I was afraid what people were going to think. And then I wrote about certain situations. I was really concerned about how they would feel. Even though the crazy thing about that is they didn't give a one care about me, but I cared about their feelings. But that's how God created me. So I love people. I love God's people, and I can't turn that off, and I never want to turn that off. But those are some of the things, the challenges I had when I wrote my first book, because I wrote my first book from a place of pain. My second book, Single, Saved, and Unfulfilled, was from a place of purpose, because it was a purpose. Why do I fail in relationships? Not knowing that question was going to put me on the path to write the book, to create the platform, She Is MIA, that was going to accelerate, become She Is Healed. Now I have devotionals in a She Is Healed series, to bringing me to write my last book, The Men in My Life, whereas it is the first book of the 6 books that I've written that there's no pain. I wrote a book in my healed season, and that's why now I'm able to speak to you in my healed season. And yes, I go back to the beginning where I started, because there's purpose in that. I'm not bleeding over it all over anybody. I'm not telling you to go read that first book, because I went back and read that first book and I was like, woo, but I can testify and say, I'm not the girl at the time I had a 15, 13-year-old in the house, and my oldest daughter was about 25, 26. She was like 26. I'm not the same mother, single mother now, because I am a woman, healed woman of adult children. 2 are married, and third one is walking in purpose. But if I had not wrote that first book, I always think about, where would I be now? So write the book. Write your book. Don't worry about what it looks like. Don't worry about what it sounds like. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I tell anybody, you have more than one book on the inside of you. Your life. I've been on this earth 53 years. I have more than one book. I have more books in me. I was even thinking about something today. I have another book that's very special to me that I'm going to write. And I'm seeking God on how to write it, because it has to be written, because it's part of my journey and my testimony. So let me get back over here to my notes, and we're going to talk about the Healed Author Framework. And this is how I love how God positioned me, starting with She Is MIA, Manifesting Healing Through Agape, the healing journey of a single mother, to She Is Healed. This is my breakthrough season. Every stronghold that ever kept me kind of bound, stunted my growth, tried to put me on a detour. These are the 3 books that I thank God that He gave me in the She Is Healed series. She Is Healed, Walking in Spirit, Soul, and Body. She Is Healed, my financial provision journal, and She Is Healed for single mothers. So those are 3 seasons in my life that God has restored me, and I'm still walking in that healing, still on that journey. But He gave that to me, and I'm able to share with others. And all of my books are on Amazon. I have some on hand as well to sell. But and also, don't let me forget, I have a website, from purpose to published.com, and that 2 is the number 2. It's from purpose to published.com, and there's a blog, the Healed Author blog, work with me section, a short testimony of my journey, and I'm working on resources for the Healed Author. You can also catch these live videos, recordings on YouTube. My channel is at the Healed Author. So, all right, let's come over here. Hi, Written Miracle. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining, everyone. Let's get back to the Healed Author Framework. Healing must come before publishing, again, because you don't want to bleed on the readers. You want to encourage and help others become authors, help others feel comfortable with sharing their story. Healed. H, heal the heart. Examine the experience. That means sometimes, examine the experience. That means sometimes you may have to sit down and work through some stuff. I'm going to share this. I'm not going to share complete details, but I had I will share this. My mother was very angry. She had her own challenges, and I look like my daddy. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I look like my daddy, and she was angry at my daddy all the time. So there were some things that I experienced because of that. And I remember driving in my car probably about 3 years ago, and I had a memory of something that happened that she did to me. Do you know, I just started laughing, and I was like, oh my God. I didn't laugh at the situation because it was a hurtful situation at the time because I was only like 3 years old. But I laughed because it's like, gosh, you survived that. So every time I have a memory, a bad memory or something, and I start writing, I have to take a moment sometime, process it, but then give God the glory because I survived that moment, because God was with me. Because of Jesus, Holy Spirit, my comforter, was with me. So I don't have to carry that hurt, that pain, or that shame. So that's examine the experience. Don't dismiss this experience. Don't throw it away. Process it, receive it, reflect on it, and write through it. Holy Spirit has been my counselor. Writing is my release. That's my therapy. That's how I'm able to connect with God, through my writing. That is how I overcome challenges when I'm writing. Now, sometimes I write and I'll get to a point, but it doesn't stop me from writing. I'll sit with it. I'll go to the word. Okay, God, show me. And I'll ask God, show me why this has me stopped in my tracks. So when you're writing, you have to learn how to write beyond the experience. Use the experience. You can use the experience for good, because the experience is part of the purpose. The experience is part of the journey. The experience is the testimony. Don't throw it away. Align it with truth. Go to the word. Nothing in God's word is negative. It is encouraging, is loving. You can pick up any scripture in that book and find you in it. Read the word. Read the word. Align with the truth. It's God's truth. Agape, God's love, the highest form of love that only God can give. Listen for the lesson. Again, there's lessons in everything we experience. Every experience has a consequence, whether good or bad. I always told my kids that. But you have to learn the lesson in it. Whether you do something good or bad, there is a consequence, a good consequence or a bad consequence. But don't focus on the bad consequence. Look for the lesson. Learn from it. Do better. Grow from it. Establish a message when you're writing. Let me see, can I think of an example? Even with, I was born in the time of being a latchkey kid. I'm a Gen X, Gen Xer. So Gen X, we experience a lot of things. That's why these millennials have a hard time with us as parents. Because I have one millennial and then I have two Gen Z. But because we just had to get it done. We didn't have time. Our parents didn't have time to sit there and really teach us. We just had to get it done. So growing up, I was always in survival mode. So I didn't sit and wait. I just got it done. So as I got older, that became a problem because I didn't know how to process stuff. So it kind of kept me bound. But even through this writing, it has really taught me how to establish the message, because even in that, I write in the book, yeah, I was left alone, but it taught me independence. I learned how to fend for myself. I learned how to cook. I learned how to clean. I know how to iron my clothes. I was talking to my daughter last night. I said my mom washed and I had to iron all my clothes at one time. But those are the things that I established in my message. My whole childhood was not bad. Bad things happen, but that's not the focus. That's not where I am, because God created me for greater. Those were things, even being raised by a single mother, those are the things that the enemy created. He doesn't have a family, so he doesn't want to see happy families. So I take that experience. Even though my father was not in my life, my last book, The Men in My Life, my dad was my foundation. He was the person that God chose to be my father. His DNA, I have part of his DNA. I have part of my mother's DNA. It took them to come together to create me, regardless if the relationship survived. It did not. But my dad was part of my foundation. And because he was part of my foundation and he used to read to me, that is why I love words. That is why I love books. That is why I love writing. So that is how you establish your message. Take anything, and you can write your book from that one experience. I wrote an entire book because my dad was my foundation. The first man I stood before and I confessed Christ was my spiritual father, and now my pastor, Gerald Thompson, Dr. G, is the shepherd that walks with me. So everything that was planted in me from the foundation, everything that was broken down by my spiritual father, those walls, the shepherd is able to walk with me and lead me to where God always intended for me to go, the direction that he set for me, the path that he put before me. So you establish your message through your life experiences. Deliver with responsibility. We are change agents in the earth. We have a responsibility. It's just like when you fast or you pray or you forgive. We use forgiveness. Forgiveness is not for you. So when you write your book, think about the person that's going to read your book. How are they going to receive it? Are they going to take their situation and say, wow, if she experienced this and God did this for her, then maybe I can step back and I can receive Christ as my Savior. And I can get on the right path and I can write my story from a healed place. So that's how you deliver with responsibility, understanding that your life, your story is for someone else. It's not just for you. Thank everyone for joining. And I think I have a couple of people hanging on. But thank you, thank you. If you have questions or anything, just throw it out there. I will answer your questions. When writers go through this process, and this is it's always been part of my process. I do have a framework called the testimony method, which is part of my coaching program. When I actually help people write their books, help them edit, format, and publish on self-published on Amazon is part of that framework. But the healed author is the process I take people through to discover their story. It's a bridge. Remember, your story is a bridge for others, not a battlefield. So always remember, when you write your story, you don't have to rush your story, because your healing matters. When healing leads the process, your words carry wisdom, peace, and authority. Your story becomes ministry. Short testimony about that. I had been kind of just writing, because I always love to write. But even in this journey, ministry is a part of me. And I was like really struggling, because I wanted to do ministry, but I wanted to write books, and I wanted to teach people how to write books, and I wanted to create this business, helping people write books. And I was so focused on, at one point, creating the platform. Because when you create something, you create a business, you're doing it for monetary, is for income. But I realized I was taking God out of it. But it's truly ministry. And now that I have combined the two, oh my God, it is so freeing. Because one day I'm going to be doing this full time, because I love it. I love teaching people how to write their stories. So we're getting close to the end. If you have any questions, throw them out there. Your story is not powerful because of what happened to you. You know that saying that people say, don't dwell on the past. No, we don't dwell on the past. We remember and understand that the past is part of our journey, and it is who we are becoming. Your story becomes powerful because of what God healed in you. Not just because you are standing here and you're able to speak, because a lot of times people are speaking and they're still carrying the bruises. So they haven't fully healed from the experiences or things that they've gone through. So when they write, the books don't get written. That's the difference between venting and a testimony. So you you don't just write from the pain. You write to share the testimony. All right, anybody got any questions? Anybody can put it out there. Seems like I went through that fast. I hope this was a blessing to you. I'm enjoying coming on, sharing. So I pray that this is a blessing to you. So I thank God for those that join. If God placed a story in your heart and you want to write it the right way, with healing, clarity, and purpose, that's what I help people do. And if you are interested in writing your book, go over to my website, FromPurposeToPublish.com/work-with-me. And I'm going to share that link. I think it's in my bio. I have to look. But it's From Purpose to Publish, and you can just click on the link on the website, Work With Me, and it'll give you a layout of my platform and the fees that come with it. And, let's write it together, heal through it, and publish this book. Your story is not just something you survived. It's something God can use to help someone else heal. Your story is ministry. Your story holds purpose. Your story is the testimony of Jesus Christ, of God's love. So follow my page. Leave me a comment. if you have questions, because I know sometimes when people come on, as I was like that, you may not want to share anything openly, but you can drop me a message, shoot me an email, coachmia.fp2, what is it from purpose? Oh, fp2p at gmail.com. Go to my website, complete the contact form, drop me a message right here in Messenger. But I am here to help you become the author that you would like to become. And let me share something else with you. When I started this writing journey, I wasn't confident in my writing. I didn't really want to put my book out there and share with anyone. And I have an abundant life coach in my corner, so she kind of pushed me. And we went to an event a year ago, and she nominated one of my books for me. My Seeds of My Existence, my very first book, and I won an award, 2025 Authorpreneur of the Year. Sometimes we need a push. We need someone in our corner to push us out there, not to fall on our face, not to. It helps you break past that fear, but also to show you who you are. The person you see in the mirror, that's who God sees, because that's who God created. So sometimes you need that push through this journey. Then after that, I received 2 other awards for books, Seeds of My Existence and Single, Save, and Unfulfilled. I've helped other people write books. I've helped other people publish books. So for me, it has been such a blessing. So if you want to write your book, like I said, reach out to me. Let me know. I'm here to help you. All right, I'm going to get off because I feel like I'm just rambling right now. I'll be back next Monday with another topic. So thank you for joining again. All right, and be blessed.